If game week 30 was an absolute shambles for you after the international break and you're looking to hit that wildcard button, don't worry, I've got you covered with the ultimate game week 31 wildcard draft. Before we dive into today's team, I just want to say that we're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on the channel by the end of the season. So if you do want to help us hit that goal, be sure to like, comment, and of course the main one being subscribe to help us achieve that goal. Now before we go and dive into the team and take a look at the players that I have selected for this wildcard draft, I thought what we'd do is go and take a look at some of the fixtures you need to be targeting over the next few weeks. Now with this wildcard, if you are wildcarding in game week 30, which obviously took place, or in game week 31, then personally for me, probably the chip strategy you're going to be on is looking to free hit in 34, and that is what this wildcard is built towards to. Now there is a few players you potentially could swap in and out if you don't have that free hit available, but for me this is probably the strategy you're going to be playing. You're going to be playing the wildcard in 31, free hit in 34, and then the bench boost in 37 if you still have that chip kicking around. So obviously fixtures we're looking to target and players we're looking to target if that is our chip strategy, and if we are on the wild card this week, we're obviously going to be looking at teams like Chelsea and Tottenham, as they don't have good games in 34 but have good games leading into it. Then the potential of back-to-back double game weeks. They're going to get at least 2 game weeks come the end of the season, so definitely teams worth loading up on. Then looking at other teams as well, we want to start taking a look at Newcastle United. Arguably have the best fixture run as well in the Premier League and a double in game week 37. Manchester United as well, some pretty strong fixtures coming up for them and the double game week as well in 37. City as well, also a nice team to potentially be looking at a few players from. Pretty okay-ish fixtures and the double in 37. My only concern with them is European football that potentially might hinder them. On the other hand, teams we probably want to be looking to avoid: Burnley, Luton, probably Brentford as well in this list. Yes, they've got some okay fixtures, but no real doubles that, you know, are going to kind of tickle the pickle, if you like. So there's some of the teams to avoid. There's some of the teams to potentially go and target. If you want to take a screenshot of this is from Ben Crellin as well. As always, there will be a link to his content and his kind of Twitter. He's an absolute genius with all this fixture kind of planning and where double game weeks are going to go. So go and drop him a follow. If you don't know about him, he, like I said, is an absolute genius. But if you want to take a screenshot of it, that is absolutely fine if you are looking to wildcard this game week. But that's enough waffle. Let's go and take a look at the team. Wasting no time, we're going to dive straight into it with Petrovic in goal for Chelsea. Like I spoke about, they are going to have 2 double game weeks come the end of the season. So definitely a goalkeeper I would personally be looking to get. The other goalkeeper we have gone for is Onana. The reason I've gone for these two is if you do have that bench boost chip available for 37, you then have 2 goalkeepers who have double game weeks. So for me, that makes a lot of sense, to be honest. That is a big, big plus in my eyes. Now Petrovic and Chelsea defensively, they're a little bit questionable, aren't they? Obviously they didn't manage to keep a clean sheet against Burnley, a 10-man Burnley as well, so it's not the greatest, to be honest, is it, from Petrovic and the Chelsea defence? But you're probably going to want to play Onana more in these game weeks coming up. But like I said, it does give you a nice alternative switch and also offers you 2 double goalkeepers for bench boosting in game week 37. Moving into our backline, it's going to be a player who hasn't played in game week 30 yet, so do just make sure that he is fully fit and available. It is going to be Gabriel. I still stand by the fact that I think he is one of the best defenders in the game to potentially go for. Luton coming up. Now, there is a double for Arsenal in game week 34, but like I spoke about at the top, our chip strategy is probably going to be looking to hit that free hit button. After that, there is definitely scope to sell him. I think by that point as well, we might know a potential situation on Gusto. He obviously picked up an injury in today's game. It didn't look too serious, but by that point, we might want to bring potentially him, or maybe a Spurs defender in, or maybe another double game week 37 defender in. But leading up to that, I think Arsenal do have some nice fixtures and definitely some that we can take advantage of, and they are the best team for XG conceded in the league. So even if, you know, they do go up against a stiffer opponent, I would still expect Arsenal to do very well and concede very few opportunities. Gabriel, also a threat from set pieces as well. Moving on to our next defender, it is going to be 8 Nori. Obviously a blank today against Aston Villa, but it was quite a weak Wolves size with injuries and suspensions. But He is a player who is very capable of hitting those double-digit hauls, arguably one of the most attacking defenders in the game. Burnley up next for them. Wolves over the next few have a ridiculously good run, and if I wasn't on a free hit 34 and was wildcarding this week, I think Aït-Nouri would be one of those players that I'd be desperately trying to get into my side. Even post-game week 34, they still have some pretty good fixtures kicking about, so definitely a player I think you should be looking to identify on the game week 31 wildcard. Moving on to our final defender, and it is going to be a Doji. Ped Porro is also a decent shout in this regard. Now, the reason we've gone for these, again, it's all down to the kind of later end where we do have the, obviously, 2 double game weeks for Spurs. Defensively, they do ask a lot of questions, don't they? Like, they're not the best defence in the world. This super high line that Ange does play, it leaves a lot of kind of questions. Nearly bottling a game against Luton. Obviously conceding against Luton as well. Not the best this game week. They do have some strong fixtures leading up to their blank in 34. Like I said, if you're not free hitting, you probably don't want to have the 2 Spurs boys in this wildcard draft that we have gone for. But if you are free hitting in 34, then I definitely think a Doji or Porro should be a must buy on the wildcard. Right, let's move on into the midfield. We're going to start off with Saka. Again, yet to play, so just making sure he is fully fit and available. Now, for me, since the turn of the year, he has been one of the best players in the Premier League. Luton at home as well, you would expect a strong performance from the Gunners. My only concern with him, obviously we are playing the free hit chip in 34, so there's potentially scope to go outside of Saka, but I think up until that point, I probably would still keep him and still have him in my team. But let me know what you think about Saka in the comments section. Moving on to our next midfielder, and it is going to be Cole Palmer. 2 goals for him, 20 goal contributions for the season for Chelsea in all competitions. You know, he's absolutely smashing it, and value for money at 5.8 million. There's some game weeks coming up. Sheffield United in game week 32 or 33. Crystal Palace as well. There's definitely some options to potentially be giving this man the armband as well. 2 double game weeks coming up for him as well. So definitely a player I think we should start to look for the armband a little bit more. I think some of us potentially got a little bit of bias around his potential price and see him as a 5.8 million asset, when in reality he's performing like a 9-10 million pound player, and we need to start representing that with giving him the armband. So for me, an absolute essential on a game week 31 wildcard for me. Moving on to our next midfielder, and it is going to be Son. Like I said, if you're not free hitting in 34, probably not a player you wanted to look to have in this wildcard. But for me, again, an absolute must-have up until the end of the season. The double game weeks for Spurs, back-to-back potential double game weeks. Like I said, if you can avoid the blank in 34 as well, I think he's a really, really good pickup. We all know what he's capable of. Should have got a lot more out of today's game against Luton as well. West Ham did leave a lot of space for Newcastle in today's game. Defensively, all over the shop, so it wouldn't surprise me to see Son on the score sheet yet again. No European football or cup competitions for Spurs either, so, you know, nice kind of clean run where they can rest, recuperate and recover their players. Right, moving on to our final midfielder, and it's going to be a man I think is essential on the wildcard. It is Mohamed Salah. Now, Liverpool do obviously double in game week 34. They have some pretty okay fixtures after that as well. Definitely, if I didn't have the free hit and was wildcarding this week, would be a player I would want. He's probably going to be the most captain player in game week 31. He is yet to play in game week 30 though, so before activating that wildcard, just make sure that he is fully fit and available for the midweek game round. Right, moving on to our front line. Now, 2 of the players haven't played. We're going to start off with Haaland. I think he's a player we just need to have till the end of the season. Again, make sure he is fully fit and available. I think with him as well, there's quite a few interesting points. There is the scope to potentially go without him. Obviously, no double in 34 for Manchester City. As well, if you're free hitting, you're probably not going to have him that game week. The City double is going to be in game week 37. So I think that's probably the time that you potentially could go and get him. Probably up until around game week 33, game week 34 or 35, you could go without him. But for me, I think if you're wildcard and you haven't got him, I probably would. Let's see what he does in the Arsenal game as well. Could absolutely smash it and completely change the narrative on him and his potential ownership within the game. Moving on to another player, like I said, that hasn't played yet this game week. It is going to be Darwin Núñez. Sheffield United up for them. The double in 34, like I said, if you are potentially not free hitting, Darwin would be a superb player. If you are free hitting, I think there are potentially some other options I would potentially be looking at. I'm only concerned with Darwin Núñez. Yes, he is a fantastic player. Yes, he creates plenty of opportunities and, you know, sometimes takes them. But with European football coming up for Liverpool, I think there will be some kind of risk of rotation potentially happening within that front line. Obviously, they've got Gakpo, they've got Diaz. You know, there's plenty of quality players up there for Liverpool, so Darwin might see himself become a little bit of a rotation risk. Right, moving on to our final player of today's wildcard draft. It is going to be Alexander Isak. A brace and an assist for him against West Ham United. I'm super happy I brought him in on the wildcard. Long term, Newcastle have amazing fixtures up until the end of the season. A double game week thrown in there as well. Absolutely immense stuff. My only concern with him and Newcastle, there's a lot of injuries happening within that side, so it is a little bit difficult. We might see some potentially jaded performances. Anthony Gordon's suspension as well could have a negative impact on the creativity, leading potentially to less goals and less opportunities for Alexander Isak. But we'll have to wait and see on that one, see what happens with that. But I still think he is an absolutely fantastic pick to go and get on the wild card. Right, before we finish up, let's have a quick run through of the bench. We spoke about Onana. Garnacho's in here. United, like I said, do have some pretty good okayish fixtures. Then a double in 37, so yep, all for that. Van Heck, a nice cheap defender with a double in 37. Again, leaning towards that bench boost strategy. And then Branthwaite, again, some pretty okayish fixtures. I think Everton take on Sheffield United in game week 37. So like I said, all kind of thinking towards the longer term strategy and with that bench boost in mind. That is the plan on that one. If you don't have a free hit in 34 as well, he does have a game. So a pretty good player to go and pick up on that one. That was my wildcard team for game week 31. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. If you've got any questions about your team or just FPL in general, get them in there as well. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.